Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis dated 7th of September 2023. In today's newspaper analysis, we are going to cover those important articles that are important for the UPSC prelims and mains exam. I have selected these articles in such a manner that they are going to help you to prepare for the examination in a holistic way. I am going to cover these articles in so detailed manner that you will understand them in a thorough perspective. So these are the list of articles that we are going to cover in today's discussion. Okay, so in all we are going to cover about 11 such articles today. So with this, let us start the discussion with the first topic. So it says ASEAN, a key pillar of Act East policy. Okay, so this statement has been made by the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi. Okay, so basically what is happening now, the Association of Southeast Asian Nation, so it is going to it is conducting a summit which is known as 20th ASEAN India Summit. Okay, so the Prime Minister of India has visited in ASEAN, and in the ASEAN he has discussed about this particular thing. So in the light of this statement, we need to understand about what is ASEAN. ASEAN stands for Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Okay, it stands for Association of Southeast Asian Nations. So it's a grouping of 10 countries in the Southeast Asia, and India is not a direct member of this particular organization. Okay, however, ASEAN plays a very key role, very important role, right? And India does have a foreign policy initiative which is known as Act East policy. So we are going to discuss in detail about these policies. Okay, so let us understand about this. So these are the member nations of ASEAN. Okay, ASEAN means Association of Southeast Asian Nations. So what are the member countries? The member countries are, one of the member countries Myanmar, second is Vietnam, third is Laos, fourth is Cambodia, fifth is Thailand, sixth Malaysia, seventh Indonesia, eighth Singapore, ninth Brunei, and 10th Philippines. Okay, so these are the 10 member countries of ASEAN. Okay, Association of Southeast Asian Nations. So why it is important for India? Because India just lies to the west of Myanmar. Okay, so this is where, let's say, this is where India lies. All right, so all these countries are, let's say, immediate neighbors of India. Either it shares border with India, or let's say they are very near to India. So India has many trade relations with most of these countries, and also India has been sharing historical ties with these countries. So that's why ASEAN is important for us. Now let us understand about what do we mean by, okay, we will understand about what do we mean by this Act East policy. Act East policy. Let's understand about this thing. Basically, before Act East policy, we used to have a policy which is known as Look East policy. Okay, earlier we had a policy which is known as Look East policy, and this policy was there since 1990s. So the government of India has created a policy for itself in 1990s which is known as Look East policy, and this through Look East policy we also wanted to, let's say, keep an eye on the eastern nations, not in the form of only vigilance, but also we want to look into the eastern part of our neighbor. So we wanted to help them, we wanted to make ties with them. So these policies are foreign policy initiatives. Okay, these policies are foreign policy initiatives of the government of India. Okay, of the government of India. These are foreign policy initiatives of the government of India. Apart from this, it is also important that there is a key shift from Look East policy to Act East policy. What is that key shift? The key shift is in the way how we see our neighbors, how we see our eastern countries, right? Those countries which are located in the eastern part of our border. So earlier we were thinking of doing only going for, let's say, economic partnership. Okay, so earlier we thought of going only for economic partnerships with these countries. However, now we are thinking of strategic, right? Strategic partnership. Strategic partnership is, let's say, a next step of the deeper integration that India wants to have with these nations. Means we not only want to, let's say, partner with them related to economic matters, but also we want to partner with them in, let's say, security ties, right? We want to partner with them in economic matters, and also we want to partner with them related to let's say geopolitics, on geopolitical affairs. Okay, on geopolitical affairs, that's the thing. So Locust policy is a foreign policy initiative of the government of India that has been initiated, right, in 1990s. However, the Act East policy has been initiated in 2014 by the government of India. Through this policy, we want to deepen our engagement, deepen our cooperation with the eastern neighbors, with the eastern countries, right? So these eastern countries are the ASEAN countries, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, okay? So these are the countries with which we want to have the deeper ties. So in this article, they have talked about, so the Prime Minister of India is visiting ASEAN as one of the invited member. And also just after this, the Prime Minister of India wants to visit to attend the East Asia Summit in Jakarta. Okay, so he also wants to attend the East Asia Summit in Jakarta. So like, who are the members of East Asia Summit? So East Asia Summit has all the members of ASEAN along with them, right? There are many other countries that includes Australia, China, India, Japan, New Zealand, South Korea, Russia, and the United States of America. So these additional members are part of the East Asia Summit who are going to attend. Okay, so this is the thing. So with this, let us quickly move to the next topic. Now this is the second topic. Here we are going to understand about let's say importance of having nutrition. So it says bridging the malnutrition gap the Bemetara way, okay? So this topic is important. Why it is important? Because like India is facing huge problem of undernourishment. So recently there were few reports that were published. One is known as, let's say, Global Hunger Index, and other is State Hunger Index, okay? So Global Hunger Index was published by some international organizations together, and they have talked about that India has huge prevalence of what? It has huge prevalence of malnourishment. Many of its, let's say, like, young children, they are malnourished, means like they are undernourished. They are either stunted or they are wasted, and there is high prevalence of child mortality in India. So the thing is, it is important for India, for government of India to focus on the, addressing the issue of malnourishment. So in this article, the author has talked about how can we bridge the malnourishment gap in the Bemetara way. So Bemetara means it is a place, it is a location in Chhattisgarh. So in that particular location, the government has initiated a kind of campaign to address the issue of malnourishment. So that acts as an exemplary thing. So the author says, like, in this way we can address the malnourishment across the country by following similar patterns. So the thing is, the author says over here that what has happened, that over the years, right, we have been trying to address the issue of malnourishment across India. However, to address that issue, we have been facing a lot of problems. At this point of time, the government focuses on this particular thing, public distribution system, and also we provide, let's say, ready to eat packages, okay, ready to eat packages and hot meals, and that are served through the Anganwadi centers, okay, and also the Prime Minister's overarching scheme for holistic nourishment. So there is a scheme, government scheme. This scheme is known as Poshan, okay, it is known as Poshan. Poshan stands for Prime Minister, Prime Minister's overarching scheme for holistic nourishment abhiyan. Okay, so this is known as Poshan Abhiyan. So the thing is, in India we do have many government schemes that are in place, like we used to have midday meal scheme that has been renamed this particular thing, and then we have similar schemes also through Anganwadis. Also we distribute, let's say, like food items to the students, to the children, and also to the pregnant mothers. So like through Anganwadis it is given. So the thing is, like the author says that like we not only need to give the food packets to the children, but also we need to raise the awareness among people about, let's say, ills of malnourishment. Means like if a children is malnourished, so how it can affect his present status and how it can affect his healthy development. Means if a children is gets proper nutrition, so he will be developing as a healthy individual, and the healthy individual will be able to take many walk, he will be able to do lot of work, right? And if a person is malnourished, so he will be, let's say, facing lot of health issues. So the author says that like government of India needs to have, let's say, like campaigns. What campaigns? Campaigns for awareness generation. Okay, so we need to have campaigns for awareness generation. So in this article the author has talked about many examples of such programs. For example, one of the program is Mukhyamantri Poshan Yojana in Chhattisgarh. So this is let's say, like what we say, like nourishment scheme of the state government. However, along with this scheme they have also initiated the campaign. Campaign means the campaign to give information to the people, which is known as Jan Andolan. Jan Andolan means social and behavioral change. Okay, social and behavior change communication, and has been a facet of Poshan Abhiyan. So the author says that why Poshan Abhiyan has gained momentum, why it has provided so much, let's say, benefit to the people, because of this scheme not only existed, but also awareness campaigns has been launched by the government, right, at various levels. And also the author talks about that there can be many such awareness campaigns in the form of bicycle rallies, plantation of Poshan Vatikas, celebration of Poshan Ma, Poshan Pakwars, and Godh Bharais, like this. I mean, like there can be such many such initiatives. And the author says that there was a, let's say, report which is known as Poshan Abhiyan Progress Report 2018. So that report says that a focused and coherent SBCC means social and behavioral change communication. Okay, so we need to have social and behavioral change communication. So it says SBCC action plan is essential to take work of Poshan Abhiyan forward. Okay, so through this article the author has talked about many examples. One of the example is this Pot Laika Abhiyan. Okay, it is known as Pot Laika Abhiyan, which means healthy child mission. Okay, healthy child mission. So this mission has been launched in Chhattisgarh, in the most undernourished district, which is Bastar. So they have launched this particular thing, and it is a nutrition counseling program that is being implemented in 72 of the most affected AWCs in the Bemetara subdivision. Okay, so AWC means Anganwadi centers. Okay, in this particular subdivision or district. So they say that it has technical support of UNICEF in Chhattisgarh. Okay, so they say this particular scheme is working in a very better manner, because they are providing the benefits to the people through Anganwadi centers, and also they are raising the awareness among the people about these schemes. And the author has discussed about some kind of malnourishment which is known as severe acute malnourished, and there is another category which is medium acute malnourished. Means these are categories of children who are malnourished, right, at different levels. The severe acute malnourished children are those children who are at a very high degree of malnourishment. Medium acute malnourished are little lesser degree of malnourishment. However, for both of them there should be different ways of tackling them. Okay, one thing is providing them healthy food in a timely manner, and also raising awareness among them related to the benefits of proper nutrition or timely nutrition. Okay, so this is the thing. In this article the author has given many more examples related to this. However, the author says finally that nutrition counseling is a simple but powerful strategy as the experience in this district in Chhattisgarh shows. Okay, so in Chhattisgarh they have initiated a program which is known as Spot Laika Abhiyan. Means like this is the colloquial language. It means healthy child mission. So the author says similar mission can be done. How it will be beneficial for us? Whenever you are writing an answer in mains exam related to, let's say, hunger, related to global hunger index, or let's say inclusivity or social justice, you can give this particular example, like this Bemetara example of, you can mention about this healthy child mission, you can mention about, let's say, Poshan scheme and all. So these government schemes are important that you can cite while writing an answer. So this will be important for the mains exam. So with this we have another topic. It says, for an expanse of blue with air so clean. Now we need to understand that this topic is related to environment and ecology. Okay, it is related to environment and ecology. In this article they have mentioned about many things. Okay, so we are going to discuss about these things one by one. This topic is very important. Name of the topic: for an expanse, okay, for an expanse of blue with air so clean, of blue with air so clean. Now let us understand about this particular topic. This topic is very important. Why it is important? Because it is related to GS paper 3 of the mains exam, which is environment and ecology. The author has given the example of, let's say, like, the United Nations Secretary, okay, General Secretary Antonio Guterres, he has recently talked about a term which is known as global boiling. Okay, he talked about global boiling. Earlier we used to talk about global warming. However, he has recently said that the world is boiling. Why? Because nowadays we are seeing unprecedented climate change, unprecedented level of climate change. Means like we are seeing extreme weather events. Okay, we are seeing extreme weather events. We are seeing high amount of greenhouse gas, okay, GHG's emission, and we are also seeing, let's say, like, increased pollution. Okay, increased level of pollution, increased level of pollution. So many things are happening. So now the United Nations Secretary General says that the world is boiling. It means he has also acknowledged the kind of, let's say, problems that the world is facing. However, people are recklessly going towards development. They are not thinking about like how long this development is going to last. And recently this article, I mean, like, through this article they have mentioned about World Health Organization has mentioned then that 10 million deaths happened worldwide in 2020 related to lung cancer. Okay, so there was a WHO data, World Health Organization data, that says 10 million, okay, deaths in 2020, and these deaths were attributed to lung cancer. Okay, these were attributed to lung cancer. Means people had died because of lung cancer, and this is primarily caused by air pollution. Okay, this is primarily caused by air pollution. And if we think of the top most 10 cities in the world, the most polluted cities in the world, 9 of these 10 cities, okay, 9 of these 10 cities lies in Asia. Okay, Asia and Southeast Asia, okay, or like we can mention about South Asia. 9 of these 10 cities lie in Asia, and one of them is Delhi. Okay, one of them is Delhi. So the thing is, recently, earlier also there were many such articles came that talked about many let's say PM 2.5 pollutant. Okay, so that talked about PM 2.5 pollutant. So in this article they have mentioned about many such initiatives, right? So lung cancer, cardiovascular disease, respiratory ailment, like and mental health issues continue to destroy lives. So in this article they have mentioned about many such things, and one of the things that they have mentioned that recently, I mean, many such initiatives has been taken. These initiatives have been taken to combat the climate change related things. And the author has talked about that there are triple challenges, okay? There are triple challenges in front of the world. What are those triple challenges? Triple challenges mean three form of challenges. One of the challenges biodiversity loss, okay? Because of this, like biodiversity loss is happening. Biodiversity loss is one of the challenge that we need to address. Second problem is climate change, okay? We need to address the issue of climate change. And the third thing that we need to address is pollution, okay? We need to address the issue of pollution. So these are the three challenges that are existing before us. And here in India, right, in the state of Delhi, okay, Delhi is a city also, it's a state also. So we have GRAP, okay, graded response action plan, okay, it is graded response action plan. So what is this graded response action plan? Okay, so this is known as GRAP. It is, yeah, graded rapid action plan, okay, graded rapid action plan. So we'll understand about this thing. So what happens, since Delhi is one of the most polluted cities in the world, what happens whenever the, let's say, pollutant level rises in the atmosphere of Delhi, in the air of Delhi? So the thing is, like, if it rises beyond a particular level, so they have first of all categorized, okay, they have categorized, let's say, different pollution levels through a kind of index which is known as air quality index, AQI, okay, air quality index. So Delhi has this particular thing, and this air quality index monitoring stations are across Delhi. I mean, like, there are different places where you can see kind of board that will help you to understand what is the level of pollution now in Delhi. So accordingly, the graded response, graded rapid action plan come into picture automatically. So, like, this is a kind of advisory. This advisory showcases that if the pollution level reaches beyond a particular level, in that case, let's say, like, vehicles, odd even rule comes into place, right? Then they reduce the number of vehicles in the roads. They release advisory that, like, you need to travel public transport and all. So many such initiatives are taken by the government of Delhi whenever the pollution level crosses a particular, let's say, like, threshold. So this is one of the, let's say, step that let's say Delhi government is taking. Similarly, many other cities in the world are taking their own initiatives. So such initiatives are helpful to address the issue of air pollution, okay, to address the issue of air pollution, okay. So this is the thing. So recently the world is going to celebrate the International Day of Clean Air for Blue Skies, and the author says that on International Day of Clean Air for Blue Skies, there is urgent need to address the risk posed by pollution, okay. So this is the thing. And also in this article they have mentioned about many alternatives that we can adopt. What kind of alternatives we can adopt is that, first of all, like, many alternatives have already been adopted. For example, like bulbs, okay, bulbs can be replaced, okay, with LEDs. This is one of the thing. The vehicle, I mean, like, vehicle that are plying on the road, so if they are fossil fuel based, okay, if they are fossil fuel based, so in that case they can be converted into CNG vehicles. That's the thing. And there can be many such initiatives that can be taken. For example, the solar panels, let's say, like, we need to go for installation of more solar panels. These small steps, if they are taken at large number of people at various locations in the world, so they have the potential of addressing such issues. Okay, they have the potential of addressing such issues. So the author says that the thing is like, the world has identified that we are not in the path of achieving the sustainable development goals by 2030. Okay, so we need to achieve sustainable development goals by 2030. However, most of the countries are not in this particular path of achieving. Okay, so they are very much behind their, let's say, achieving their target thing. And the author has also mentioned one important point, that SDG misses on one important aspect, which is that there is an absence of a specific sustainable development goal for clean air to breathe. Okay, so there is no SDG for clean air to breathe. Okay, clean air to breathe means, if this have been an SDG, more countries would be more aware of taking initiatives in this respect. Since it is missing, so like, it is also, let's say, causing a problem. So the author suggests that like we need to have something like this, that clean air to breathe is an important part of SDG. So the author says, on International Day of Clean Air on Blue Skies, there is an urgent need to address the risk posed by pollution. Okay, so in this article they have mentioned that like pollution related thing has to be addressed. Okay, so now a day will be celebrated which is International Day for Clean and Blue Skies. Okay, clean air and blue skies, like that. So with this we will move to the next topic quickly. In this article they have talked about how unemployment is measured in India. Okay, so in this article they have mentioned that how do we measure unemployment in India. So basically they have talked about two different methods. One of the method is UPSS. Okay, one method is UPSS method. It means usual, okay, usual principle and subsidiary status. Usual principle and subsidiary status. And the second way is current weekly status, okay, which is known as CWS. Okay, it stands for current weekly status. So these are the two different ways how we calculate the unemployment in India. So what happens, these two methods are different from one another, and there is a survey that is released by the government which is known as PLFS. PLFS stands for Periodic Labor Force Survey. So this survey actually highlights about the level of employment and unemployment in India. Okay, level of employment and unemployment. Okay, it is also known as employment and unemployment survey. So under the PLFS, they categorize people as workforce. Okay, so there are different categories. One of the categories, like we will mention about this thing. One of the thing is known as workforce. We need to understand what do we mean by workforce. Second, we need to understand who are part of workforce. Like people who are working. Okay, people who are working, they can be considered as part of workforce, and also people who are actively searching for work. Okay, they are actively searching for work. For example, those people who do not have the work with them now, however they are ready to do work, they are searching for work. This constitutes workforce. And the other category is non-workforce. Okay, non-workforce means these are those people who are not doing work. Okay, they are not considered to be part of the economic workforce. One are those people who are doing household. Okay, who are doing household unpaid work. Okay, household unpaid work. So they also constitute non-workforce. Second is students. Students means they are neither, let's say, doing economic work nor are actively searching for work. Okay, so they will be considered as non-workforce. Okay, so accordingly means this senior citizens who are not working, so they will be part of it. There can be many such categories. Okay, so these are some of the examples. Okay, senior citizens means people who are not searching for work, they will not be categorized as workforce, and they will not be categorized as unemployed also. Okay, they will be not be categorized as unemployed. Senior citizens, like this. So in this article they have talked about how do we calculate what the unemployment in India, how do we measure unemployment in India. So the thing is, in this article they have also mentioned how like in India we have periodic labor force survey that employs these two methods to calculate the unemployment level in India, right? However, what is the international practice? That international practice is guided by International Labour Organization. There is an organization which is known as International Labour Organization. This International Labour Organization defines unemployment as being out of job, being available to take job, and actively engaged in searching work. Okay, so that means unemployment. Okay, so International Labour Organization has defined what is unemployment. It means like someone is out of job, second, he is available to take a job and actively engaged in searching for job, so he will be categorized as unemployed. Okay, like that. And also
So if a person like is ready to like do the job, but sir he's not getting the expected salary. So sir, will be part of unemployment, or
he has not joined a job, he is searching for a job, he is getting kind of job which is less paid. If he does not join it, it will be considered as unemployed. Unemployed means if someone is in job, if he let's say leaves his job because of less payment or there are something, so that is frictional unemployment. So under unemployment also there are different categories of unemployment. Okay, so that will be considered as frictional unemployment. Okay, different kind of unemployment are there. So here, like International Labour Organization has said, like what is unemployment. Okay, so they say someone is out of job, he is actively looking for job, and he is available for doing job, so he will be unemployed. Okay, so that matches with the current weekly status also. I mean, like so let us understand about current weekly status. What happens? I mean, like so they do survey, they ask people that are you working. If that person is working, he will be considered as employed. If he is not working, and so has he not been working in the last 1 week, if he has not been working, he will be categorized as unemployed. Okay, so that's the thing. In last 1 week, if he has done work for 1 day, he will be categorized as employed. Basically, there are many labor who are doing, let's say, daily wage working. I mean, like you might have seen labor market. I mean, like if you go, laborers are there who are ready to, let's say, go to a place to do work like that. Okay, so this is generally to account these people. Okay, so the thing is, like here in India we release the periodic labor force survey. Okay, it was released in 2017 and it revealed the unemployment rate of India to be 6.1%, the highest ever recorded. Okay, means like this unemployment rate in India, there are flaws in the way that we calculate unemployment. In the United States of America, let's say out of whatever population they have, 60% of the people were not working. However, because of the method that they have employed, they came out that only 3.1% people are unemployed. I mean, like so there are like definition, like people, the organizations define how they want to calculate unemployment. Okay, so they say that usual principal and subsidiary status also employs a method that is little bit flawed in the nature. So it says, according to this particular thing, usual principal status, whether employed, unemployed, or out of labor force, is based on activity in which they spent relatively long time in previous year. So here they take the data of last 1 year. Means in the last 1 year, like for major part of the year, what that person was doing. If that person was working, let's say for 7 months, he will be categorized as employed, even if he is unemployed for last 5 months or like 6 months, like that. So they say this thing. So there are different methods of calculation So here in this article they have mentioned that the International Labour Organization defines unemployment as being out of job, being available to take job and actively engaged in searching for job. Therefore, an individual who has lost work but does not look for another job is not unemployed. Means you are not searching for job but you are out of job, but you are not unemployed. That is according to International Labour Organization. Then this situation is complicated in developing country. I mean, like in India, we have, let's say, different methods of calculating it. So like it becomes very complicated. I mean, like even these methods, current weekly status, it's not a very good, healthy method. Okay. Then measuring unemployment in India is difficult due to informal nature of jobs. Unlike developed countries, individuals do not hold one job year round. Okay. Means in this article they have said that in India it is very difficult to calculate unemployment because people are doing different kind of job at different point of time. For example, if there is a person who is, let's say, like, agriculturist, he might be doing agriculture work for some part of the year, let's say for few months, and after then he might be searching for a job for doing some kind of manual work, and then he may go to field again. So there is no regularity of doing one thing. Okay, so we have high level of unemployment in India. Okay, so that's why it becomes more difficult to calculate like how the unemployment level will be, let's say, achieved in India. Unemployment means like how do we calculate the data. Here this article has been written by the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi. So like we'll go through this article. It says taking G20 to the last mile, leaving none behind. Okay. So basically we are going to have the G20 summit from 8th to 10th of 10th of let's say September. Tomorrow onward, day after tomorrow, I mean, like they are going to have the G20 summit. So related to this, the Prime Minister of India has written about what is the importance of G20 summit. So we have taken the presidency of G20 from Indonesia. Last year Indonesia was the held the presidency of G20 summit. Now we are the president of G20 summit. So in this G20 summit we have initiated many new things, not only for India but also for the entire G20 memberships. So they are going to adopt common frameworks related to many things. So that's going to shape the economy of these countries. And as we know, G20 represents around 75% of the world economy. Okay, it represents like this. I mean, like, so it says that this Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the two words, it means the world is one family. Okay, it means that like the world is one. I mean, like if the world is one, and so like we need to take care of the entire world, and if it is one family, so we do have shared responsibility towards the world. This is what the Prime Minister of India is saying. So he says, as one earth we are coming together to nurture our planet. As one family we support each other in pursuit of growth. Okay, so he has said many things, and he said that post-pandemic world order is very different from the world before it. Post-pandemic means after COVID-19, the world that we see now is very different from the world that existed before this. So there are three important changes. So the Prime Minister has mentioned all those three changes. So I'm going to go through these three changes so that like we also understand what are the changes. I mean, like, one of the thing is, he says there is a growing realization that a shift away from the GDP centric view of the world to a human centric view is needed. Okay, now there is a shift among the people that earlier we were thinking of GDP centric view. Now we are thinking of human centric view. Okay, this is the thing. Second, the world is recognizing the importance of resilience and reliability in global supply chain. Okay, so the global supply chain should be resilient, it should be reliable, because during COVID-19 the supply chain got disrupted. Supply chain related to energy, related to food supply, everything got let's say like everything got disturbed, and because of this, let's say like many countries faced lot of problems. Okay, so we need to build resilient supply chains across the world. Okay, that's the thing. Third, there is a collective call for boosting multilateralism through the reform of global institutions. Okay, he talks about that like multilateralism should be boosted. Multilateralism means where one country interacts with many countries across the world, right? Interacts in the sense they do relationship with many countries, and like almost all countries should be having some say into the world affair. Earlier, the world policy was led by few nations of the world like US and Russia. So there it was, let's say, bilateral world, I would say. Okay, means like world was divided into two different groupings. But now we are moving towards a multilateral world where all countries are member of one or other grouping. Okay, so now the author says now there is a realization that we need to reform the international institutions and we need to go for multilateralism. That's the thing. Okay, so like he has talked about many things, and also he said that there was a summit that was conducted, which is the Voice of Global South Summit, with witness participation from 125 countries. Means like the Voice of Global South Summit. This is important because in that summit they have talked about the shared, let's say, like like shared interest of the global south. Okay, so that's why in BRICS summit, in G20 summit, they are talking about global south. Why global south? Because there is shared, I mean, vision of global south that they want to prosper now. This is their time now. Along with this, the author the Prime Minister has said that now most of the countries are off the G20, like off this particular thing, SDG goals. Okay, they are off the track of the SDG goals. So now we need to, let's say, bring the realization among the countries that now still we have time. It is 2023 and by 2030 we want to achieve the sustainable development goals. For this we need to take action together. Okay, this is the thing. And also recently the government of India has initiated something which is known as Global Biofuel Alliance. Okay, so this will be an alliance where like different countries are going to partner with one another. Not only countries but the businesses are going to partner with one another related to biofuel production, biofuel sharing, manufacture, utilization, knowledge sharing, etc. And government of India, I mean like India along with some other country, I think France, we have initiated International Solar Alliance in 2015. Its headquarters is located in Gurugram in India, right? So that International Solar Alliance was also towards a greener source of energy. Okay, because Solar Alliance is the solar power gives us renewable source of energy. Okay, so it is a greener source of energy. And now through the Global Biofuel Alliance, we will support the world to enable energy transition in tune with the benefits of circular economy. So these are the important things that they have, he has talked about. Along with this, he has mentioned about some of the initiatives that are there. One of the things is Chennai High Level Principles for Sustainable and Resilient Blue Economy that focus on keeping the oceans healthy. Okay, so this is Chennai High Level Principles for Sustainable and Resilient Blue Economy. Blue economy means like the economy that is associated with the resources that the ocean can provide. For example, fishing activity, it is associated with blue economy. Okay, so while let's say like doing business in the blue economy, we need to make it sure that the ocean remains healthy. Okay, that the ocean remains healthy. Recently what has happened, Fukushima nuclear power plant, Japan. Okay, so one of the power plant, let's say like it got damaged and they stored huge amount of water which is, let's say, like contaminated with nuclear waste. So they have started releasing that water into the ocean, and soon after that the Chinese government, they have stopped, let's say like importing fish from Japan. So that's another issue. So the Prime Minister of India has also said that like we have initiated a new notion among people that like we need to have a lifestyle that is sustainable, right? And lifestyle which for sustainable environment, which is known as life. Okay, lifestyle for sustainable environment. So this is, I mean like these are the initiatives that the Prime Minister has talked about. Along with this, the Prime Minister has talked about DPI. DPIs are known as Digital Public Infrastructure. So what is digital public infrastructure? For example, if we talk about, okay, I'll write the examples. If we talk about Bheem, we know there is a Bheem app. We use it for making payment, right? Everybody of us uses this for making payment. It is a digital public infrastructure. If I talk about Aadhaar, okay, like we have Aadhaar thing. So like we can get our Aadhaar identity document downloaded. We can download it, we can check it online. So that is also a digital public infrastructure. All those digital infrastructure through which the government provides services to the citizens or services to the institutions, right? Government institutions, financial institutions and all. They are part of digital, let's say digital public infrastructure. And there is a need to protect the digital public infrastructure. Why we need to protect the digital public infrastructure? Because like they are the backbone of any society or of any economy. Nowadays with increasing with increasing what we say, like people are doing more innovation. Now threat level is also increasing. There are different threat actors that are acting, right, to dismantle all of these infrastructure. So the Prime Minister of India has said that we need to protect our digital public infrastructure also. These infrastructure are crucial for an economy to work, and the government of India is going to take initiative in the G20, okay, for safeguarding the digital public infrastructure, okay, including there will be some steps by the government of India for securing the cryptocurrency related thing. How do we regulate the cryptocurrency, right? Means like G20 countries have adopted something which is going they are going to, let's say, release during the G20 summit, okay, means like for regulating the cryptocurrencies and all. So this article has been written nicely. He has talked about many important programs that are there, okay, so that's why I have taken this article. So these are the G20 countries. If we go through it, okay, so they are G20 countries that you can see, okay. So here some of the countries are developed countries, some are emerging countries, okay. So these are, let's say, China, India, Russia, Japan, South Korea, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Italy, Spain, France, UK, Netherlands, Germany, South Africa, Argentina, Brazil, okay. So these are members of G20, okay. I have just included, and G20 membership, I mean, like, it is broad based, okay. There are many let's say big economies that are part of G20, okay. Then we have another topic. It says avoid a new Cold War. China tells nations at ASEAN meet. So basically, what is Cold War? Cold War means like I will give you an example. So like World War I happened, right, in 1914 to 1919, right? World War I, 1914, 1914 to 1919, okay. Then happened World War II from 1940 or 42 to 44. I mean, by 44 it was over, right? So that's the thing. And after then started the era of Cold War. Cold War means the countries were not at warfare with one another, but they did not share very good or warm relation with one another. They used to, let's say, stop the progress of other countries, okay. So that Cold War era was a kind of era that has seen very lesser progress among different countries because of this thing, okay. So recently the Chinese premier, he has visited in the ASEAN summit, right? He has said that, like, we need to avoid a Cold War, a new Cold War from happening. Why he has said? Because in the ASEAN meeting, like, Kamala Harris also participated. She is the vice president in the United States of America. Since the ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, it's a grouping of the Southeast Asian nations. So that's why China is, let's say, like, little bit suspicious about participation of the United States of America in ASEAN. So that's why he is fearful that, like, the Chinese government is fearful that, like, they should not create another bloc here in Southeast Asian region that, let's say, takes the policy of US forward. So that's why he has said that we need to avoid a new Cold War related thing. And soon after this ASEAN summit, there will be East Asia summit also, where, like, the US person is going to visit, Chinese person is going to visit, then India, from India, the Prime Minister of India is going to visit. So that's why just after starting this thing, he has said this, okay. So different countries have their own foreign policy things, so they highlight, let's say, their concerns related to this. Then it's this topic is not very much important, but like it talks about the policies that developed countries are taking, so that sometimes down the line, after few years, These policies also take the shape in developing countries like in India. Okay, we generally adopt, right, policies of different countries. We get inspired and we frame our own policy that meets our situation, that meets our demands. So this is European Union Digital Markets Act. So European Union has created a Digital Market Act that cracks down on tech companies with a set of guidelines. Okay, means the Digital Markets Act, it gives set of guidelines for technical companies. So mostly hit companies are the top 6 big companies of the world. They are, for example, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, or Google's parent company Alphabet, Facebook's owner Meta, and TikTok parent ByteDance. Okay, so these are the companies that will be affected by the Digital Markets Act of the European Union. So they say like these companies have been named as online gatekeepers. Okay, these companies, these 6 companies have been together named as online gatekeepers by the Digital Markets Act. So the 6 companies were classified as gatekeepers that must face the highest level of scrutiny under the 27 nation bloc's Digital Markets Act. Okay, so these companies will be facing highest amount of scrutiny. So in this act they have mentioned about do's and don'ts, means what these companies should do, what these companies should not do, like that. Okay, so this is a kind of, let's say, policy document or an act that has been passed by European Union that regulates these digital technical companies. Okay, in India also there can be, let's say, a similar initiative maybe after a couple of months or couple of years. Then we have another topic, G20 could pave the way for crypto regulation, financial inclusion. This topic is again important. Why it is important? Because this topic says that G20 could pave the way for crypto regulation. Okay, crypto regulation means cryptocurrency. We know that what is cryptocurrency? What is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is a form of digital currency. Okay, digital currency. So these digital currencies are decentralized. Okay, they are decentralized, means there is no single authority that regulates the cryptocurrency. So it is based on, let's say, peer-to-peer network. It is based on peer-to-peer network. Okay, peer-to-peer networking means people trust one another and they have various consensus mechanism also. Consensus mechanism means that authenticates the transaction that is happening. These are generally done on blockchains. Okay, they are done on blockchain technology. Okay, they are made on blockchain technology. So these are basically, they avoid any kind of regulation by any government authorities. Since they avoid government regulation, so there is a, let's say, perception among different countries that these cryptocurrency may be used for illicit purposes. For example, for terror financing. Okay, for terror financing, or for money laundering, etc. Okay, for money laundering, etc. it can be used. So that's why different countries are thinking of regulating the cryptocurrencies that are there. What is the name of the first cryptocurrency in the world? It is known as Bitcoin. Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency that was made in the year of 2009 by a person named as Satoshi Nakamoto. Okay, by a person known as Satoshi Nakamoto. Okay, so this is a pseudonym. He has started a project in 2008 by releasing a white paper that we want this. By 2009 it was ready, and now across the world there is a recognition of this particular technology, and it is based on blockchain technology. Okay, so this is highly secure, and the transactions that happen on these platforms are immutable. Means once a transaction is done, those records can neither be deleted nor be changed. Means, like, any transaction that happens, it gets recorded into the chain and it cannot be deleted, it cannot be edited also. So it is immutable, means like there is transparency into the system, in the sense, like, I mean, all the transaction that happens, it gets recorded like that. So this is the thing. However, the records is not available publicly. That's the thing. Okay, it is recorded. Everybody knows कि transactions are secure and they avoid any regulation by any central authority. Now these G20 countries are together thinking of regulating the cryptocurrency market. Okay, how they are going to regulate, we need to see it, because they will come out with document. We need to read a lot on this thing. So the government of India, I mean, like, since they are not regulated, however, the technology, the backbone of this cryptocurrency is blockchain technology. That blockchain technology has been adopted by various central banks across the world. For example, in India, we have adopted this thing through CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency. That also use blockchain technology. Okay, it use blockchain technology. But this is regulated, this is managed by the Reserve Bank of India. Okay, so this is the thing. So now in this article they have talked about that cryptocurrency regulation is a challenge for the entire world, and the G20 nations will come together to come up with a solution to address to this challenge. Okay, so this topic is good. Now this is another topic. It says like Das is Shaktikanta Das. He is the governor of the Reserve Bank of India. Asks FinTechs to keep governance, adopt self-regulation. Okay, so the Reserve Bank of India has said something related to FinTechs. What is FinTech? FinTech means those companies that are financial. Okay, that are financial companies that are working in the technological interface. Okay, technological interface. Or we can say financial technological companies. In short, just to understand, what can be the examples of FinTechs? For example, if I talk about Paytm, if I talk about PhonePe, if we talk about Bharat Pay, etc. So these are private companies, definitely PhonePe, Bharat Pay, etc. So these are FinTech companies. Then there are let's say other examples also. Jodo, you might have heard about it or not, but like there are many FinTech companies. So the Reserve Bank of India governor, he has said that these financial technical companies, right, the technical companies that are working in the finance sector, so they should focus on three important aspects. What are those three important aspects? The first aspect is, okay, the first aspect is customer centricity. Okay, means they should be customer centric, means the customer should be treated well. Let's say if they lend some money to the customer, if they are not able to repay, so they should not resort to, let's say, like exploitative measures, or they should not apply very inordinate charges, or let's say like interest rates and all. So they should be customer centric, they should provide good services to the customer. So he has talked about three important key pillars. Okay, he said that he talked about three key pillars, okay, for FinTechs. What are those three key pillars? One is customer centricity, second is self-regulation. Okay, second is self-regulation, third is governance. Okay, governance. Okay, he said like second is governance, but like these are the three pillars, means they should focus on customer centricity, they should focus on governance, means like whatever regulation rules that the government is making for them, they should adhere to these things. Third is like they should create a body which is self-regulatory body for them, and the RBI governor has named this body also, which is known as self-regulation organization. So the RBI governor has said that these FinTech companies should create a self-regulation organization. Okay, should create a self-regulation organization, means like where these FinTechs can come together and they can talk about the like policies that they should have for themselves, like that. Okay, so it is a very good article. So now recently he told this thing in a global FinTech Fest in 2023. So the thing is, the issue that he has highlighted, they are good issues, and these are important for economy. Okay. So having understood this, let us move to the next topic. This is another topic. It says viability gap funding for battery energy storage gets government nod. Okay. So recently the government has approved viability gap funding. We need to understand what is viability gap funding, VGF. Okay. It stands for viability gap funding. Okay. It stands for viability gap funding. What do we mean by this? Basically, let's say there is a particular sector in the Indian economy, and that sector is desired for the overall economy, to prosper or grow. We want to grow that particular industry, that particular sector of the economy. However, private players are not entering into it because the kind of investment that requires, and let's say like it requires huge amount of investment, and it has lesser potential of giving them returns. I mean, like here, let's say like, for a particular sector of the economy, let's say the input cost is very high. Okay, input cost is high, or let's say there are high regulation by the government, or let's say there is less potential initially for these companies to enter into. Okay, and the returns that they generate, the margins can be low. Okay, let's say like, margins can be low. Margins means the profitability can be low. So in that case, the government goes for viability gap funding, means the government supports these companies. Okay, here enters the government. So what government does, it supports these industries through viability gap funding. Means it says that, like, for setting up these industries, we will give you money. We will not give you the entire money. You have your own money. Let's say the private companies are giving 60% of the money, and from government they are getting, let's say, 40% of the money. So they are able to establish this thing, and even if they get, let's say, lesser benefit, in that case the government will be charging less amount of money, or maybe like this can be given as grant in aid, means they are granting it, they do not require the money back. So that is known as viability gap funding, and this is done by the government to incentivize the private players to enter into certain markets that they initially feel that this is not going to give us that benefit. For example, if I talk about infrastructure sector, okay, so there are people who have to invest, let's say, crores and crores of rupees, and the ability to make profit out of it becomes very difficult, because the units are sold at a let's say like, relatively lesser pace. I mean, like, units are sold at a, let's say like a housing project. For having the housing project, one has to invest hundreds of crore rupees. Then they have to wait for its construction to happen. They have to get the regulatory approval, and once they sell, I mean, like, there can be lesser customer to take it. So in those sectors, I mean, like, the government comes up with viability gap funding. So having understood the concept of viability gap funding, let us understand in which sector the government has come out with a plan. This is battery energy storage system. Okay, this is really so government has talked about viability gap funding related to battery energy storage system. Means why it is important? Because we are thinking of e-vehicles, right? If we need e-vehicles, we need more batteries to be manufactured. We need more stations to be charging stations and all. For this, the government of India has come up with viability gap funding related to this. Okay. So this is the thing. In this article, they have mentioned that there will be a budgetary support also. Okay. The funding for the development of BESS scheme with an initial outlay of 9,400 crore rupees and a budgetary, including a budgetary support of 3,760 crore. Okay, so the government has just mentioned about this thing. So I hope this concept is understood, viability gap funding. So that's all for the day. Thank you so much everyone for participating in today's discussion. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you.